So welcome back to Pax Europiana, this time from the Upper Mühlviertel here in Upper Austria. I would like to greet Mr. Burian, the EU representative and envoy for Central Asia. We had some debate about the situation in Central Asia and about the Eastern Partnership, and I would like to respond with this video on that debate, because I appreciate very much what is the EU doing already in Central Asia and supporting the countries, but what we need to do is to have a better strategy. And what's a reasonable strategy is to enlarge the tool the EU has with the Eastern Partnership, to enlarge it to the Central Asian countries and invite them. There's nothing Russia could oppose or be against it. It's just a reasonable tool which we also do for Belarus, for Armenia, for Azerbaijan, and also for Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia. But obviously we can easily include also Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and also potentially Afghanistan, Pakistan and Mongolia into the same Eastern Partnership, because they are Eastern partners. It's very simple, very easy, very fine. We have this tool, this instrument, these funding lines. We can just include more countries. And so we don't need an extra Central Asian strategy which is divergent from the Eastern Partnership, because it's already there. And then we also include Turkey, because obviously it cannot under the present condition be a member of the European Union, but it's also an Eastern partner. So that's the partnership tool. I've never understood it, why we limit it for the 6 countries of Eastern Europe. No, that's for all countries east of the EU which want to be partner. Not for Russia, that's a hostile nation. Sadly, but it is like that because of Putin's wishes. Maybe they will also join the Eastern Partnership in a possible future after Putin. But this is the best way. Additionally, we can also roll out all the instruments we have for Southeastern Europe, from the Regional Cooperation Council to the CEFTA, to the Energy Partnership, Energy Community, the Transport Community. They can also be for the Eastern Partnership. And also we have, just to mention it, the Regional Anti-Corruption Center, the Center for Excellence in Finance, and so on and so on. 6, 7 institutions and maybe more, which are already there for the Southeastern European countries. We can use them for the Eastern Partnership countries and for the Central Asian countries. And it will have enormous positive effect. And no, Russia will not nuke us for that. And please, let's not be so paralyzed, because that's my main approach. We are totally paralyzed because we are like shivering for fear for Russia. And Russia can be not happy with it, okay, it's the choice of these countries. We can offer these memberships, we can offer these instruments, and when the countries want it, they can join, and additionally we can conclude free trade agreements. We do it with half of the world, yeah? Free trade agreements. Hopefully now with Mercosur, one day also with the United States, with Africa, and also with the Central Asian countries. Mr. Burin, I don't understand why we don't have free trade agreements with them. It's a total normal tool to have. And why not? If they are already in the customs union with the Russians, maybe that's not possible. But with anybody who is not in the customs union of the Eurasian Customs Union, we can have a free trade agreement, even a DCFTA if it's necessary, and maybe they want it. So let's do it. We are a little bit paralyzed, and I appreciate actually the effort of Mr. Burian and also of Mr. Klar, who is for the South Caucasus. But we leave the 2 envoys completely alone. No political backing, no political support. They travel alone like the lone salesman in the Central Asian steppe and in the Southern Caucasus. And we are basically doing about nothing, yeah? And as a EU politically all together. And that's something pretty unsustainable, and I cannot understand it. You know, like some nations would have a stamp on it. You are part of the Russian Empire, goodbye. We don't care. You belong to Russia. And who decides that? Russia or the EU or the West or the countries themselves have the right to decide about the future. And so, Mr. Burian, please. And Mr. Klar, I'm sorry I called for your resignation. I think also Mr. Klar could be a very good envoy for a Kosovo-Serbia dialogue. He's a very experienced diplomat. His country has recognized already Kosovo much better than Mr. Lajčák, who is basically biased against Kosovo, because he has not recognized Kosovo at all. So that's absolutely much better. And if we have Mr. Klar instead of his lonely mission without any political backing in the Southern Caucasus, which we basically lose completely at the moment, we have a crisis, war in Armenia, Azerbaijan, now a coup attempt in Armenia, now Azerbaijan and Armenia, the situation settled by Russia again. Georgia in a deep political crisis, and what we are doing as if everything would be completely unconcerned, and then we lecture America on the policy in Iran, China, and whatever kind of, as if we would have a big mission somewhere far away where we have no tools to do anything anyhow, but we have this moral kind of grandstanding that we do the things we want to do, and we tell everybody how to behave and how to live, but we do nothing for the Georgians and we do little for the Armenians, and we do so because my case is especially for Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan since 2016 is reforming in unprecedented pro-European manner, and we have not even helped them to join WTO. I mean, this is so bad. And also for Azerbaijan, not in WTO. Turkmenistan, not in WTO. And also Bosnia, Kosovo and Serbia, not in WTO. And this is now 2021. It's not exactly that this is what I say, that it's big news or kind of, breaking news, we have the WTO, or breaking news, we have CEFTA. I mean, honestly, we are so paralyzed, and we are not supporting even our own people who have this mission to get things done over there, and we are doing nothing for them, and I actually feel very sorry. But it's this inconsistency of our Central European policy in Brussels. I'm not really sure what's going on there, and really I'm a bit worried, but I have many times already called, now that America is back under Biden, it would be really fantastic that also Europe is back, and back in the Balkans, back in Eastern Europe, back also to some extent in Central Asia, at least to help them in a decent, normal way with a free trade agreement, with Eastern Partnership, with potential membership in Regional Cooperation Council and CEFTA. This is not magic. This is not outrageous demands of mine. This is just a normal thing the European Union is meant. That's why we built it. That's why we have it. I think we have a deep crisis of our self-confidence and of our kind of mission, and we have to address that. And since 2017 I call for Ukraine to join CEFTA and also be EU potential candidate country, something totally normal. Imagine my surprise when I came to Ukraine to understand all these things that they are not really already, because I worked for 11 years in Kosovo and in Albania, and all the big principal questions like NATO direction and currency and EU membership in the future, they were of course a long time away in some aspects, yeah? But they were always settled. I cannot understand our reluctance to offer NATO and EU membership to Ukraine. And also the currency. Let me conclude my favorite topic, obviously. I mean, all these countries in a big currency crisis since 2008 and 14, and we have all these wonderful tools, the euro and the euro pack, and we do nothing. And so we are like confused a bit, and we have lost our direction. And it's time to come back, Europe. I call on Europe, please be back. Yeah? If you're not finding your own strategy, and if you don't think my videos are very useful, okay, then just do please what the Americans tell, because that's basically the better way than this confusion paralyzes and kind of confused attitude we have since 10 years, and it has to come to a stop, I think. And concluding, I say, Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, join the EU, NATO, and adopt the euro. That's quite logical. And then all the rest of the 6, 9, 11 countries, all in all 14 countries of which are partners in the East, logically join the Eastern Partnership, logically join all the instruments we have built to reform countries like them, from the transport community to the energy community, which is the role model for all this, and for CEFTA. Maybe change some names, but we have these secretariats, we have these organizations, why not use them? It's a miracle, and it's a mystery for me. And yes, please, Mr. Burian, sorry, Mr. Klaas, sorry I called for your resignation, you have not deserved it. I call for Mr. Borrell to reconsider his position on Kosovo, on Eastern Partnership. And imagine one moment if the Europeans had treated Spain, which was exactly like Ukraine today. If we treated Spain like you treat Ukraine today, or Bosnia, please, you would not be in NATO. Maybe you would have anyhow preferred it. You would not be in EU. You would still be struck in poverty and somewhere in the periphery, and not have this wonderful Talgo network and the great prosperity Spain has today, because you would not be in the European Union, and that's very sad. Yeah, concluding, I'm here now in Upper Austria. It's a beautiful area. I share some impressions of this beautiful region. It's very nice here. I like it. It's a traditional mountainous area like we have it many in Europe. I love it. It's a country which was occupied by the Soviet Union for 10 long years. Then we had to do the neutrality deal, and we are still not in NATO in Austria. That's of course very sad, and I continue my little campaign for Austria to join NATO and to be a full member of the Western value community, together with Bosnia and Kosovo and also Ukraine and Georgia, Moldova. And my dear listeners, please, that's the road to peace. It is the road to the West, the road to unity, and we have to call for Europe to be back to together with America, and that's what I hope for. And please, all my friends, in these decisive days ahead, because 2021 is a very decisive year for unity of the West, I call on everybody, in wherever position you are, make sure that your nation is part of NATO, EU and the Euro, and all, and that is the key fundament of prosperity and security of Europe. So, best regards, bye, all the best.